My name is Adom, Berchie, Acheamfour, and I've done an assessment on if smoking cigarettes detriments the physical and mental health of Africans. So, firstly, the topic and global issue is drug abuse and its effects. In the world, there are 1.3 billion people who smoke tobacco, and that's 16.25% of the entire world population. And this costs 8 million deaths every year. From this is information from the World Health Organization, and 8% from low and middle income countries. Which is why I want to do my assessment on Africa, because Africa is filled with low and middle income countries. And in my interest to test the health impacts on smoking to give more insights on the risks involved when smoking. Also, according to the WHO, 70% of people who start smoking is because of peer pressure. So this assessment is going to give them further insights on the risks that they're taking to discourage them from starting in the first place before they get addicted. So then from various articles, I first saw a positive relationship, meaning that the more you smoke, the more it detriments your mental health and your physical health. And then in this article, it says that through the release of dopamine, the nerves are calmed and it helps an individual relax. And in the second article, it also says that it also had the same positive relationship, but it highlighted that in the long run, it would deteriorate the person's mental health, meaning that it's only gives a temporary sensation in the moment that calms the nerves, but in the future, as you keep on smoking, one's mental health will keep on getting worse. In the last article, it says smoking is the cause of lung cancer 80% of the time, meaning that there's a 0.8 probability that one gets cancer given they smoke cigarettes. The associations I'll be testing will be fair. The research question is, does smoking detriment the mental and physical health of an African? And the associations will be the level of depreciation, the level of depression one experiences associated with if they smoke. The second association is the level of anxiety one experiences associated with it if they smoke. And the third is how strong the association between one's health and if they smoke. The first two associations will be my measure of mental health, depression, and anxiety. And the last one will be the measure of physical health, which is one's general health. So the sample is from IPMS Health Survey, which is an organization which makes data available to users, and then they carry out surveys regarding people's general health, mental health, and also physical health. And they do it for African and Asian countries, but I'll be focusing on only the African countries, meaning that I'll have 28,471 respondents or my sample is 28,471 for this assessment. And the variables to be smoking, which is my explanatory, and it is categorized into yes or no. And my response variables for mental health would be depression and anxiety, which is categorized in daily, few times a year, weekly, monthly, and never. And lastly, for physical health, which is general health. And this is categorized into bad, fair, and good. Bad means they experience major sickness or disease like lung cancer, heart disease, and etc. Fair means that they experience minor disease or sicknesses such as colds, flus, headaches, and others. And good health means that they experience no major or minor sicknesses. For this experiment, we're using the chi-square test since it's a categorical to categorical association. And for the first hypothesis, the no hypothesis that there is no relationship between smoking and depression, and an alternative of there is a relationship between smoking and depression. Hypothesis 2 has a null hypothesis of there is no relationship between smoking and anxiety, and an alternative, there is a relationship between smoking and anxiety. For the third hypothesis, the null is there is no relationship between smoking and health level, and the alternative is there is a relationship between smoking and health level. From this, the bivariative analysis shows the proportion of the variable by smoking, the response variable by smoking or cigarettes, smoking of cigarettes. So first, we have proportion of health status by smoking of cigarettes. Over here, we can see for the people who smoke. People who smoke is indicated on the x-axis, which is yes or no. Yes means they smoke, no means they don't smoke. And the y-axis is the proportion of the sample. So for yes, as you can see from the colors, bad is red. So those who smoke, among those who smoke, majority of them have bad health, which is the red bar. And for those who don't smoke, the majority of them also have bad health. And for both, yes, for both those non-smokers and smokers, the minority of them have good health. So for proportions of levels by depression by smoking cigarettes at the bottom left, we can also see that those who never experience depression for both non-smokers and smokers is the highest, and the lowest for both also being those who experience depression on a daily basis. And lastly, for proportion of levels of anxiety by smoking cigarettes, for both data too, for both non-smokers and smokers, the highest is the majority experience anxiety a few times a year, and the minority experience anxiety monthly. These are the results from the chi-square test. P-values obtained for all three hypotheses are close to zero, as seen with a high number of decimal places for each of them. Using the significance level of 0.05, since the p-value is calculated for these three hypotheses is below 5%, which is the 0.05, we will reject the null hypothesis. And this indicates that there's a relationship between level of depression and if one person smokes, level of anxiety and if a person smokes, and lastly, one's general health and if they smoke or not. This relationship implies that smoking is a causal factor for bad health, both physical and mental. And also the p-value shows that it's not rare to encounter such cases, meaning that it's very probable that one can get depression, anxiety, or bad health from smoking. And with this, the government can impose higher taxes on sales of cigarettes to discourage people from buying it, and also educate children to prevent them from starting to smoke. And in the future, the use of a larger sample will yield more accurate results, as my sample of 28,471 people is not a proper representation of the entire population of Africa. And lastly, these are my references. Thank you for your time.